Maya wakes up. Before her feet hit the floor, she's already inside someone else's head.
Think about where your energy actually goes in a day. Not your time, your energy. The colleague who got credit for your idea, you've replayed that conversation 4 times. The friend who hasn't texted back, you've checked your phone 11 times. The thing you want to do but haven't started because of what someone might think, you've postponed it for 6 months. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you're carrying people who never asked to be carried. Mel Robbins spent years figuring out why she felt so exhausted despite doing everything right. The answer was 2 words: let them. Not as giving up, not as not caring, as finally putting down what was never yours to carry. Sound familiar? At work, someone ignored your idea, took your credit, or got the recognition you deserved, and you've been inside that moment ever since. In a relationship, someone didn't reply, didn't show up, or didn't care the way you needed them to, and you've been making it mean something about you. With yourself, there's something you want to do, start, create, say, become, but you're waiting for permission that is never going to arrive. Mel Robbins' answer to all 3? The problem isn't you. The problem is the power you've been giving away. Here's your move, right after this video. At work, think of the one situation you've been replaying in your head this week. A decision someone made, a comment, a slight. Write it down on a piece of paper. Then write 2 words next to it. Let them. That's it. You're not solving it. You're not fixing it. You're just putting it down and asking, what's one thing I can do for my own work today? In a relationship, someone hasn't replied or showed up or changed. Send one message if you need to. Then put the phone face down for 2 hours. Not forever, just 2 hours. Let them be where they are. Use those 2 hours for yourself. With yourself. Name one thing you've been postponing because of what someone might think. Write it down. Then ask, whose life is this? Mel Robbins said it plainly. The problem isn't you. The problem is the power you give to other people. Take it back. One small move, right now. Think about the last time you spent more than 10 minutes thinking about someone else's reaction. A comment, a look, a silence. Now ask yourself, what did you actually get done during that time? Here's what Mel Robbins found when she started paying attention. Most people don't lose their time to big dramatic crises. They lose it in small, invisible chunks. 45 minutes replaying a comment your boss made in a meeting. An hour wondering why they haven't texted back. 20 minutes before an event worrying what someone will think when they see you. None of it productive, all of it exhausting, and none of it about you. That's the cost. Not dramatic, just daily, slow, relentless. Robbins calls this the stressed brain. And she found one thing that interrupts it immediately. Not therapy, not meditation. 2 words. She writes, the let them theory is like a sigh of relief for your stressed brain. It helps you reclaim control over your anxious thoughts so that your brain and body can finally get out of survival mode and back to thriving. Sound familiar? At work, your boss ignored your email 2 days ago. You've rewritten the follow-up 4 times. You haven't sent it yet. Meanwhile, your actual work is waiting.
In a relationship, they haven't replied. You've checked your phone 11 times today. You've drafted 3 messages and deleted them all. With yourself, you've been standing in front of the mirror for 20 minutes, managing an opinion that may never even be formed. You're not living your life. You're living inside other people's heads. And every minute, there is a minute you're not here.
Here's your move.
At work. Next time you catch yourself replaying something someone said or did, set a timer for 5 minutes. Replay it, feel it, get it out. When the timer goes off, say, "Let them." Then open your work and do one thing, just one. 5 minutes, then back. In a relationship, put the phone face down. Not forever, just for 2 hours. Send one message if you need to, then face down. Use those 2 hours for something that's actually yours. With yourself. Before your next social situation where you're managing what someone will think, ask one question. Am I doing this for me or for them? If the answer is for them, let them think what they think. Let me show up as I actually am. Your stress about other people is either productive or destructive. If it's not moving you forward, it's moving you backward. 5 minutes back, every time you say, "Let them." The cost is real. The fix is simpler than you think.
There's something most of us do without realizing it. We spend enormous energy trying to change people who didn't ask to be changed. A boss, a partner, a parent, a version of ourselves we think others need to see. And it never works. Mel Robbins makes a distinction most people have never heard before. Let them alone is not enough. If you only say, "Let them," you float above everything, disconnected, slightly cold. You stop trying to control others, but you also stop engaging with your own life. That's not freedom. That's just a different kind of stuck. The second step is where everything changes. Let me. Let me take responsibility for what I do next. Let me focus on what I can actually control. Let me decide what kind of person I want to be in this situation. Not them. Me. And here's the part about trying to change other people. Robbins is direct about this. Pressure doesn't create change, it creates resistance to it. When you try to exert control over someone else's behavior, they instinctively resist your attempt to control them. Let them be who they are. Let me be who I want to be. That's the whole framework. Sound familiar? At work. You've been trying to get your boss to see your value for months. The harder you try, the less they seem to notice. Because pressure doesn't create change. It creates resistance. In a relationship, you've been hoping they'll finally understand, finally show up, finally be different. And every conversation about it pushes them further away. With yourself, you've been trying to perform a version of yourself you think will get a certain reaction. Exhausting. And it doesn't even work. Here's what Robbins discovered. You've been pushing the wrong thing. Here's your move. At work, think of one person whose opinion or behavior you've been trying to change or manage. Let them be who they are. Then ask, what's one thing I can do to build my own value this week, regardless of whether they notice? Do that one thing. In a relationship, stop pulling the rope. Let them move at their own pace. Then ask, what do I actually need right now that I can give to myself or ask for directly?
Not hints, not pressure. A direct ask or a direct action. With yourself, pick one thing you've been performing for someone else's benefit. One habit, one behavior, one way of showing up. This week, do it differently. Do it the way you actually want to. Let them react however they react. Mel Robbins puts it simply: when you say let them, you make a conscious decision not to allow other people's behavior to bother you. When you say let me, you take responsibility for what you do next. Let them. Now, what's your move? 2 words, but the applications are everywhere in your life.
Mel Robbins didn't post on social media for 2 years. She had the formula, she had the content, she had the time. 2 years, because of what people might think. Think about what you haven't started, or haven't said, or haven't shared, because of what someone might think. Robbins lost 2 years of income, 2 years of audience, 2 years of impact, waiting for an approval that nobody was ever going to formally give. And here's what she found when she finally posted. Most people were supportive. The critical ones were dealing with their own insecurities. And the opinions she feared most of them never even arrived. She'd been locked in a prison that wasn't even real. The research on this is humbling. 69% of people's judgments are about themselves, not you. And Robbins cuts right through it. The truth is, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Your business is creating the life you want to live. Let them think what they think. Sound familiar? At work, there's an idea you haven't raised, a project you haven't proposed, a conversation you haven't started, because of how it might land. In a relationship, there's something you haven't said, someone you haven't reached out to, something you haven't asked for, because of how they might react. With yourself, there's something you want to create, build, start, or become that you've been sitting on because of a crowd that may not even be watching. You've been waiting for permission that isn't coming. Because Mel Robbins says it plainly, nobody is going to come and give it to you. Here's your move. At work, identify the one idea, suggestion, or ask you've been sitting on. Write it down this week. You don't have to share it yet. Just write it down and ask yourself, what's the worst realistic thing that actually happens if I do this? Not the imagined worst, the realistic worst. Usually, it's nothing catastrophic. Let them react however they react. Let me find out. In a relationship, send the message you've been drafting, or make the call, or say the thing. Not the rehearsed, perfect version, the real version. Then let them respond however they respond. You can handle it. With yourself, take one action on the thing you've been postponing because of what someone might think. Not the whole thing, one action, one step through the door. Robbins says it, let them think bad thoughts about you. Let them. Because your business is not their opinion. Your business is creating the life you want to live. Not fearless, just one step anyway. This is the hardest one. Robbins has the full story in the book. You see someone get the promotion, or the relationship, or the life, and you feel it, that specific sting. Most people call it jealousy and feel ashamed of it. Mel Robbins calls it something completely different. She says there are 2 types of comparison. The first is torture, comparing yourself to things you cannot change, their family, their luck, their starting point.
This type of comparison does nothing except make you feel smaller. There's no action available, just pain. The second is teacher. Comparing yourself to things that are learnable, their habits, their choices, their consistency. This type of comparison is information. It shows you exactly what's possible if you make different decisions. The feeling is the same. The direction you point it, completely different.
And then Robbins says something that reframes jealousy entirely. Jealousy isn't a character flaw. It's a compass. It points directly at what you want but haven't admitted to yourself yet. The sting you feel when someone else succeeds, that's not about them. That's your inner voice telling you exactly what you want and exactly who's in the way.
Sound familiar? At work, a colleague gets praised for something you also do well or better. The sting hits. You call yourself petty. But the sting isn't pettiness, it's information. What specifically do you want that they have? Name it. In a relationship, you see someone else's relationship and feel that particular sadness. It's not about them. What does their situation tell you about what you actually want? With yourself, you see someone doing the thing you've been thinking about doing, and the sting is almost unbearable. Robbins says, "Good. That unbearable feeling is the most honest thing about you."
Here's your move. At work, next time you feel the comparison sting, don't suppress it and don't spiral. Ask one question. What specifically about their situation do I actually want? Write it down. That's your compass. Now, what's one thing you can learn or do that moves you toward that? One thing this week. In a relationship, when you feel the sting of comparison, ask, what does this tell me about what I want? Not what they have, what you want. Write it down. One honest sentence. With yourself, identify one person whose work, life, or choices you keep comparing yourself to. Ask, what habit or action of theirs could I actually apply to my own life? Not their results, their process. Then do one thing from their process this week. Mel Robbins says it directly. Your biggest competitor isn't the person you're comparing yourself to. It's the version of yourself that's too afraid to try. The sting isn't weakness, it's information. Use it. Jealousy as a compass. She goes much further with this. 1 year later. Same Maya, same job, same relationships, same life. But something is fundamentally different. Not everything is fixed. She's just freer. Here's the last thing Mel Robbins teaches, and it might be the most liberating of all. Stop trying to interpret people. Stop second-guessing their silence. Stop making their behavior mean something about you. Let them show you who they are. Their behavior tells you exactly how they feel about you. Your job isn't to decode it or explain it away or hope it changes. Your job is to see it clearly and believe it. The colleague who consistently takes credit, that's who they are. Let them. The friend who only shows up when it's convenient, that's who they are. Let them. The partner who keeps choosing differently, that's who they are. Let them. And then, let me decide what I want to do with that information. Robbins says it directly. People's behavior tells you exactly how they feel about you. Your job isn't to interpret it or second-guess it. Your job is to let people reveal who they are and how they truly feel about you and accept it. And then, the most important thing she says in the entire book,
Let me do what I want to do with my one wild and precious life.
Where are you right now?
Maybe you spent years managing someone's reaction to you, and you're exhausted. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to change who has shown you clearly they won't. Maybe you've been postponing your own life while you wait for permission from people who aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think. Robbins isn't judging any of it. She was there too. She just found 2 words that changed everything. Let them. And then, let me. Here's your final move. At work, identify one situation where you've been trying to manage, change, or interpret someone. This week, let them be who they are. Then ask, what does this tell me about what I want to do next? One decision, based on what you actually see, not what you hope for. In a relationship, let someone show you who they are without rewriting it in your head. One honest look this week. Then one honest decision about what you want to do with that. With yourself, name the one thing you've been postponing for any version of when they change, or when they approve, or when the timing is right. The timing is now. The permission is yours. The life is yours. Mel Robbins says, "Let me do what I want to do with my one wild and precious life." That life starts now. Not when everything is sorted, not when everyone approves. Now. Pick one action from today's video, just one, and do it this week. If today sparked something, go read the Let Them Theory. Link is in the description. See you soon, with actionable insights from yet another book. Which book should we cover next? Tell us in the comments. Read the book. It will change how you see every relationship.